Welcome to ENG 303, study session 11, passive constructions. Introduction. Another derived structure is a passive construction. In this lecture, we shall look at the processes of forming passive constructions in English. In other words, we will look at how to derive passive sentences from active ones. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Construct passive constructions questions. 2. Explain the derivation of passive constructions and distinguish between different derived passive constructions. Pre-test. 1. What is a passive construction? How are passive constructions formed? What rules are applied? How do passive structures differ from active structures? Content. The passive construction is the opposite of active sentences. In active sentences, the lexical items that make up the sentence remain in their logical positions. However, in passive constructions, there are movement of items and the applications of different rules. This we explore in this chapter. Passive constructions. The major components of a basic sentence are subject, verb, objects, and/or adjuncts. These are usually realized in the form of NP, V, NP, ADVP, respectively. The basic sentence is the same as the active sentence. This means that the logical subject, verb, and object occur in their original positions respectively. However, in passive constructions, the situation changes. The logical subject and object swap places. For example, the subject occurs at the end of the sentence while the object occurs at the beginning of the sentence. The passive marker B, EN is inserted under INFL and before the matrix verb, while the preposition by is introduced before the subject NP that has just been moved to the final position of the sentence when affix hoping rule is applied to the terminal string. The result is the surface structure of a passive construction. Let us now demonstrate these processes with sentences. Consider the sentence, "The man was loved by Mercy." The logical subject in this sentence is Mercy because it performed the action in the sentence, while the object is the man because it received the action. However, these items are not in their logical positions. Hence, we can say that this is not an active sentence. So, to explain its derivation, we return those subject and object as well as verbal elements to their logical positions. The product is an active sentence written below. Mercy loved the man. In the active form, the verb element is missing. This means that was has something to do with the change of the sentence from active to passive. Notice that this is not constant for all sentence types. Each verbal form determines how the passive verb is realized from BEN. The active sentence above is the basic structure. Let's apply the following rule to the active sentence and see how it changes to a passive one. Active sentence, Mercy loved the man. Passive sentence, the man was loved by Mercy. Rule 1. Rule 1 shows the structure of an active sentence and 2 is that of passive structure. And 2 is derived from 1. Note that NP1 is the subject, NP2 is the object, and X is a variable representing any other item. not relevant to the construction. 1 differs from 2 because the two NPs have changed places in 2, and being and by, which are not in 1, have been introduced in 2. Let us make it clearer by drawing tree diagram analysis of the sentences above. 3. Basic structure. 4. Derived or surface structure. Surface structure. The man was loved by Mercy. As seen in the second diagram, 4. The object NP2 leaves a trace at the extraction site, and both the NP2 and the trace are co-indexed. Finally, the affix open rule applies to realize the surface structure. Witness this other sentence. 5. The students were praised by us. The active form of the sentence is, we praised our students. We start our analysis by putting this active sentence on a tree diagram. 7. Basic structure. 8. Derived or surface structure. Surface structure. The students were praised by us. Notice that the pronoun we, which occurs in the subject position, has now changed to us in the second diagram because it now occurs in the object position. Sometimes, however, some sentences do not have subjects. How are they realized? Consider the following examples. He was punished. In this sentence, we do not know who punished he. So, in the active form of the sentence, we indicate using a small triangle or the symbol E that the subject's position is empty. This is the deep structure of the passive construction. Note that the NP1, the subject, is empty, and we consequently represent it with E. The verb and the NP2 are in their logical positions. However, we have not indicated person and number features under AGR. This is because we do not know the subject of the sentence. In the derived structure, when we moved the NP2 to the subject position, we will indicate the features of the new NP on AGR. Here is the derived structure. Surface structure. He was punished. With the movement of the object to the subject position, the features of AGR are now specified as third person singular number. In addition, we have put a trace at the extraction site, but we realize that it is unnecessary to insert the preposition by, since there is no NP1 to be moved into the sentence final position. However, we have inserted the passive marker being to convert the structure into a passive sentence. We apply the affix open rule and arrived at the surface structure, which is a passive sentence. There is also another version of passive constructions. In this version, the logical object occurs after the transitive verb, but the logical subject occurs after the preposition by at the sentence final position. This means that the subject position is empty, and this is also indicated by E. The passive marker is assumed to be base generated in the sentence. Thus, the sentence, the goal was scored by Kanu, is assumed to have the following deep structure. E was scored the goal by Kanu. This means that the only process involved in generating a passive construction is to move the object to the subject position. Here is a tree diagram analysis. The derived P marker will now be 14. Surface structure. The goal was scored by Kanu. How do we analyze passive sentences which have no subject? Here is how. Consider the sentence. They could have been paid. Deep structure E could have paid them. 17. Derived or surface structure. Surface structure E could have been paid. If we compare the second version of the analysis with the first, we will realize that the second version is simpler because it has fewer rule applications. This second version is therefore preferable over the first. Notice that not all active sentences can be changed to the passive form. Some sentences, such as the following, can be changed to the passive form. She is joking. We can read, the boy became happy. The devil is a liar. The car is mine. Summary. In this lecture, we have discussed the processes of forming passive constructions. We analyzed passive structures in which the logical subject is present and those in which the subject is missing. We also used two different approaches to analyze passive constructions and concluded that the second, which involves simpler processes, is preferable. We have come to the end of study session 11. Thanks for listening.